This is Tom from Hold On I'm Talking Brother interrupting our regular broadcast with a public service announcement to all fight fans out there, wherever you're watching from around the world. If you haven't seen Saturday's main event, stop this podcast right now and go and watch it. It's unmissable TV, and from here on out we'll be discussing it in great detail. Come back to us once you've seen it. Thank you all.
Listen, stop feeling sorry for your well, come on then. What's wrong with you? You're too now. You got to pull the out of the fire.
Stay sure.
Come on, Leon, man. You got it, man. Come on.
You got this. Sharpshooter. This is
Yeah. Come on, Leon. Let's go.
You had him, man. Okay, you do it again. Okay?
Come on. Add him.
And when Edwards goes, he can get to Usman. His kicks are very fast, even in round 5. His hands are very fast.
He's just got to open up.
You know, he's a minute and a half from losing his championship fight. So you leave it all out there. It does not matter how this fight ends. When that final bell rings, whether you're laying flat on your back or you're in the middle with your head down, as his hand gets raised, he's going to win. You got to empty the gas tank here.
Yeah. He may have resigned himself to losing a decision.
Well, that's what Dean Thomas said.
Yeah.
Dean feels like that would be a moral victory for Leon Edwards.
But that is not the cloth from which he is cut. I mean,
No.
that is a degenerate.
There it is. Oh my God.
Undisputed welterweight champ. The belt headed to the UK.
Oh my God.
Hello and welcome back to Hold On I'm Talking Brother. My name is Joe Greenwood and you are listening to our UFC 278 review, Usman versus Edwards 2 for the welterweight title. And Tom Ballum, I've got to ask you, Sunday morning I felt many emotions. I had a brutal hangover after going out to watch the Anthony Joshua fight against Usyk. I watched UFC 278. And by the end of it, I had tears in my eyes. And Tom Ballum, I have to ask you one question. Were you a jabroni? Did you or did you not cry at this card?
Joe, is really, really powerful stuff. Pure raw emotion. After the result in the main event, how
do you describe how you felt?
I mean, speechless. It's one of the defining moments in the sport. You know, one of those absolute peaks that you hit so rarely. You know, one of those moments for me where you kind of remember where you are when that happened.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful storyline coming together. And then we had the main event. Two men.
You suckered me in there so badly. And I was just like, I was starting to well up again. And then you fucking dropped that on me. Listeners, let's get straight into it. UFC 278's main event. Leon Edwards wins the welterweight title by knocking out Kamaru Usman, the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, by head kick in the 5th round with 55 seconds remaining on the clock. And I'm going to just say this right now. There are very few times where I've had almost like an out-of-body experience watching a sport, any sport. You know, I'm thinking about it, like the last time I really felt that was maybe Tottenham beating Man City in the Champions League, Trippier's free kick against Croatia in the World Cup semi-final. And then in terms of MMA, what we're looking at, Anderson Silva's triangle choke in the 5th round against Chael Sonnen in a fight that he was losing. Tom, this is in the pantheon of all-time great sporting moments for me. And the fact that it was Leon Edwards made this moment all the better, in my humble opinion.
Well, I mean, let's just set the stage for what made this moment so special, Joe. Now, coming in, he's looking to upset the reign of a man that's in contention to be the greatest welterweight of all time, a man who was looking to equal the record of Anderson Silva for most wins consecutive wins in the UFC. Truly lofty stakes for Usman, and Leon was the next duck to be shot. We gave our case for Edwards in the pre-fight podcast. Unfortunately, my worst fears started to emerge after a good first round for Edwards, where he surprised Kamaru Usman with the trip. He was able to take a dominant position on the mat and threaten the choke, although not in any, no real serious,
not a significant way. That's sort of what happened. Edwards tripped and went into full mount against Usman. It's the first guy to take him down into an extremely dominant position, and then maneuvered to take his back, body lock, body triangle across Usman. And the round ended in kind of a weird position where Usman's shoulders were flat on his back, and he sort of like scooted around and managed to sort of like negate the body lock, and they were sort of trading punches from really a non sort of position, really.
Edwards was a pretty like that. He was the annoying Siamese twin, the less dominant one who's just like battering away. He got off some good ground and pound. I don't think anyone would dispute him winning that first round. No debate. No judges gave it to him as well. Absolutely. Now, without steaming through the next 3 rounds too quickly, Edwards, as the fight went on, started to succumb to that wrestling pressure that Usman clearly is still able to deliver. I did question whether he would be able to pull that out against Edwards, given his much stronger credentials now, and given Usman's aging and supposedly diminishing athletic ability. I was suggesting he blew those queries away, and Edwards really was starting to break down and look pretty dejected going into the 3rd and 4th rounds.
I felt like in the 2nd round, Edwards did well against Usman, basically getting up from takedowns, but he wasn't really able to get much off. And I felt like it was in round 3 where Usman really started to dominate, and then round 4 was when he particularly took over in the grappling sense. That was the feeling that you were getting of like, okay, Usman he knows he can't finish Edwards, so he's just gonna take path of least resistance, take him down where he can control the variables, and get to a decision victory, essentially.
Well, let me just sum up that transition you were describing there from 2nd to 4th round in terms of Usman's increasing dominance going through the fight. In my notes, I have here that in the second round, it was Usman on the front foot, more volume versus Edwards' precision. And then Edwards shooting again for a takedown, and Usman sprawling, fending it off, me giving the round to Usman because of that forward pressure. 3rd round, Usman takedown, cage pressure, vintage Usman.
Yeah.
Round 4, desperation in the Edwards corner, Usman wrestled him to death.
Yeah.
That's where we were at heading into the 5th round.
Can I also just give you the stats here? Round 2, Usman had 1 minute 42 of control. Round 3, 3 minutes 23 of control. And round 4, 2 minutes 51 of control. So, keeping it above half the round of controlling him. Round 5, Usman got 1 minute 19 of control. And go on, Tom.
Well, yeah, round 5 was interesting.
Very
all right?
interesting. Yeah.
It was very interesting because I was tempted to say it was a continuation of the same theme, and I certainly remember sat thinking to myself, "Wow, just how good is this man? This is just he's just broken Leon." However, at the same time, I did have this feeling, all right, Usman's slowed down a bit here. He is just kind of taking this one off a little bit. The freight train certainly didn't keep running. And the pressure he did have, the control he did have in the 5th round, it wasn't actually even sufficient for Herb to let the fight go on. When Usman had Edwards pressed up against the cage, he wasn't really getting off any strikes.
No.
And I think Herb made the right decision to separate them.
I agree.
Usman, he wasn't working to improve the position, and he was just kind of coasting a little bit. The commentary team seemed to disagree. They were making this big hate about Usman. He won't stop. He's not going to take it off. And I was like, we're watching it right now.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Not for the first time.
No.
That I was upset with the commentary. I was also extremely upset. Yeah, just circling back to round 2, where Cormier said, and I quote, "Kamaru hasn't lost a round in a long time." And I was like, what? Didn't we just watch him lose 2 rounds to Colby Covington in his very last fight?
Yeah, and didn't we just... Yeah, I know. It's odd commentary, isn't it? Odd commentary.
It was frustrating. I don't want to dwell upon that, though, because we're set up now. We've reached the point, the pivotal moment. We have what
happened, which was Leon Edwards was in the position of having to find a finish in the 5th round of a title fight that he's losing. He's exhausted. He's got nothing left. And you're thinking, okay, as the commentary's saying, they wrote his obituary. They said there's nothing left. Edwards will take the decision loss as a moral victory at this stage. And then Edwards throws the right hand out there, just sort of like feinting the jab, throws the left straight as a feint to then set up the left high kick, which came right behind it, that Usman did not see coming, as he ducked away, as Usman leaned to his right, and Edwards' head kick landed flush on Usman's chin, and he folded to the ground, knocked out clean, no follow-up shots, and Edwards wins the welterweight title in the most extraordinary of circumstances.
Cue absolute pandemonium after that.
I couldn't believe it. This is just one of the most amazing moments I've just ever seen. It was absolutely incredible. And the emotion of that moment, it's just, I couldn't go, like, for the next 2 days, I couldn't go talking about this without tearing up. Like, it was just too much for me to think about.
Well, it just, it's something we all can connect to in our regular humdrum lives, pulling something out from the fire, against the odds.
Yeah.
Joe, talking back to your boss at the train station.
Yeah.
Getting that overtime approved.
Yeah.
It really just absolutely beautiful. And of course it meant so much to Leon. Now he's framing it slightly differently now that the moment has passed, but I think he felt like the opportunity had slipped away from him. I think there was a moment, especially after the 4th round, where he went back to his corner and he thinks, I'm not getting this shot again.
Yeah.
Kamaru's beat me for a second time and I've been consigned to the
contender status and nothing ever more. But he did give his corner the credit of firing him up. But do you know what I do love about that finish is that it kind of felt like the most Leon Edwards finish if he was going to do it. It was technically perfect. It was not rushed. He waited for that moment and he thought, this is the time I'm going to do it and I'm going to have to do it now. It wasn't just a mad flurry of like putting himself in a position of getting taken down again. You see that sometimes with guys chasing it and they get taken down, ground out for the last part of the round. Didn't happen here. Edwards waited.
Well, I mean, that's what the commentary team, they were screaming for, that he needs to take some risks. He needs to throw with that reckless abandon. He needs to go forward.
Yeah.
But huge credit to the team and Edwards' preparation, because we've since seen that he had actually spotted this tendency of Usman since he's developed this boxing friendly style, since he's fallen in love with that jab of his. He's used to now pivoting away from the opponent's jab, exiting on that same side, and they spotted it.
Yeah.
And they thought, if we throw enough work to the open body side, if we throw enough with that left hand, Usman's going to pivot out to the side. And there it was. Edwards timed it perfectly. The other thing, Joe, I'm going to let you in a second here, but I just want to say something else that made this quite interesting. I was listening to Alex Volkanovski break this one down.
Oh, wow.
And what he was saying was that what made this particularly effective is that, of course, yes, fighters are expecting, you to go from left side to right side, so you're moving from power, your momentum is shifting. And so they expect that from the opponent. It is hard to follow up 2 on the same side, 2 strikes.
Yeah.
But it's not just that you're throwing 2 strikes from one side. Your timing is also a bit different. The tempo with which you throw. So it's not like 1-2. It's more like 1, 2.5.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
The rhythm is ever so slightly different. And if it had that rhythm, he thinks that perhaps Usman would have actually got out of the way there, but because it came in that like half step moment, because it was just a feint and then the shot came, that Usman just walked onto it perfectly, and that's here we are talking about it now.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point as well, and also particularly coming from someone like Volkanovski, who like Edwards has an incredibly modern game built around that sort of half step moments, those half beats. Luke Thomas sort of uses that term of the half beat, of like the movement in between the 2 main movements. Volkanovski's a master of catching you in that time, and so if he's picking up on that of Edwards, you can tell that Edwards. People who call this a fluke just have no idea what they're talking about. If it's like if I hear someone say, "Oh, it was a fluke," it was this. I know I can dismiss you at that stage. Do you know what I mean? Like I know that your opinion means nothing. And that it's just no, really, it's true, because it's like if you think that like, if he threw like a fucking crescent kick or something where it's just like something that he's never thrown in his life and he knocked him out with that, you'd be like, okay, wow, that was potentially a bit fluky. But this was a shot that he's landed on pretty much every fighter he's ever fought. That he set up here with Usman as well, where he threw the left hand and would follow it up with either a low kick or the body kick, and then kicks up the middle as well. Like the kicking game was implemented throughout the fight so that head kick was going to be there. And have you seen, by the way, the footage of Cejudo watching this fight? This is incredible. He sat 2 seats down from Ali Abdelaziz, who is Usman's manager. And it says, beginning of round 5. And Cejudo turns to Ali and says, "Easy money, Ali, easy money." And Ali turned around and said, "There's no such thing, bro." Then it cuts to about 10 seconds before the finish, and Cejudo's watching it, and he's watching, and he has the same manager as Usman's, he knows Usman for a long time, and he's watching it, and you can hear Edwards' corner yell, "Head kick, Leon." 1 second later, it happens, and you can see Cejudo's face drop of like, oh my God, what have I done? And you can see Ali Abdelaziz, his head in his hands, crestfallen. Absolutely crestfallen. So this idea of Edwards was easy money, that was a fluke. If you're saying that shit, I got no time for you, brother. Okay? Hold on, I'm talking, brother. You're a jabron.
Indeed, Joe. Indeed. But it does lead us on to that question of the preceding 24 minutes of fighting.
Yeah.
In which Usman
was winning.
He looked
really good.
He looked like the GOAT, to be honest. He looked like the welterweight GOAT is what he looked like.
He looked evolved.
He looked imperious.
Yeah.
I was really, really impressed.
Yeah.
And that emblematic corner of Leon's caught it pretty right when they said, "Don't let him bully you," because that's exactly what Usman was doing. He was big brothering him. He was giving him a hard time. He was wearing on him, and he did look like he had broken Leon.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a devastating loss for Usman.
The only thing that's impressed me more than Usman's performance is how he's taken the loss. He has been absolutely incredible. He has not taken anything away from Edwards. He said he was in this moment of having to throw a Hail Mary and get something done, and he did it. And what else can I say to that? And Usman has said, along with Dana White, there has to be a rematch, and it has to be in England. Usman's calling for it in England as well. And I love that. I love it. He wants to go there. First off, I know he knows financially at Wembley Stadium, that's going to make him a lot more money than it is in 15,000 Salt Lake City. Yeah, exactly. So he's thinking, oh shit, 80,000 people at Wembley.
For that, you're gonna put me in Utah again. We're going to England, baby.
Yeah, and then also, imagine what that's going to be like for Usman. That's a once in a lifetime experience of being in absolute enemy territory.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I got to say, I did have mixed emotions in as much as, I had that euphoria for Leon and what it meant for British MMA, but then I thought, like, wow, I really like Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, yeah.
I really like Kamaru, and he's chasing greatness, and he's there. He's right there, and it's hard knocks. But let's be fair. The path is still open to him.
Yeah.
All right. If he can shrug off a shocking knockout loss like this, which Leon said himself, this changes people. Losses like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have seen that in the past. So if Usman can overcome this and go back to that same style, and
get
overcome
better,
Edwards, well, there is that option when it's Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
Overcome in a trilogy fight, then that his legacy would be reinstated. The danger, of course, is Max Holloway. He fights him again and finds out that Edwards is just too good.
Yeah, it might. What if that does happen? I mean, the only way we're going to see that is if it happens next April or May, which has been hinted at.
Joe,
yeah.
You're picking Usman in the rematch.
I'm not.
Oh, God. You give it time. The cold, hard reality is going to come for you.
I'm not picking Usman. Also because I was doubly gutted. So after we finished the podcast last week, me and Tom stayed on the line and we were chatting for another 15, 20 minutes. And we both regretted not picking Leon. I'm not going to have that regret again. Also because on that podcast I said 3-1 Edwards. You got to put money on it. I did not put money on it.
What? I thought that was a surefire thing.
I didn't do it. Did you put money on him?
Nah, Joe. I've had to leave that game behind. Unfortunately,
same. I've had to block those websites, so I can't look at those.
Joe, I thought we were celebrating. I really thought you had that bet.
Let's. I don't want to linger on that. Let's just talk about this. The only fight for both of these guys is the rematch, isn't it? We're not having. Masvidal's been like, give me Leon. I'll fight Leon. Fuck off. Excuse my language. But no.
No, I mean, I think you summed up with those two words, Joe. And only those two words can. There's no place for Masvidal fighting Leon. Go and win some fights, Jorge. At least, I want to see Leon smash you in. I want to see that, but just win some fights.
Yeah, exactly. Also,
now hold on,
Joe. You go.
I want to ask. If there is to be an interim belt, we do know Usman wants to take some time out. Yeah, if there is. I don't, Leon is in his prime right now. Usman gets the shot when he's ready, but he wants to take some time out. If there was going to be an interim fight, there are some intriguing matchups in there.
It just popped into my head. Hamzat versus Covington. That's the fight, isn't it? That's going to be the fight. Wow. Yeah, that would be the fight. Hamzat versus Covington. By the way, I rewatched Burns versus Hamzat today. Not as good as you remember it. The moment of watching it tied in with the actual fight itself made it a lot better. But as an actual fight, it wasn't as exciting.
But Joe, your euphoria that you've hit the peak. Nothing will be the same.
That's true.
After you've seen that head kick knockout, everything's grey now.
Do you think
Joe.
also? I know that Edwards is the second British fighter to win a UFC title, but this means more for British MMA than when Bisping did it, right? Because Bisping was US based; he'd been there for many years. It was. Do you not feel that way?
I mean, yes, and it's not just because of that. It's also just look where we are in the sport now. This is Kamaru Usman he just beat,
not Luke Rockhold.
Not Luke Rockhold. Not Luke Rockhold.
Now
look.
Can we also just talk about the emotions again, just quickly? That promo of Edwards afterwards, it wasn't just what he was saying. It was the fact he was delivering it right down the camera. Look at me now. I was born in the trenches. I was born in a hut in Jamaica, and look at me now. Look at what I have. And it's just I can't. It's weird because it's talking to people at work about this, where they knew about what had happened, they'd seen what had happened, and they were like, "Oh wow, it's really cool that a British fighter had won it." It's just it is really great that it was a British fighter that won it, but it was the guy that he wasn't supposed to be the guy. it was supposed to be Darren Till. Do you know what I mean? It's supposed to be Paddy Pimblett. It's supposed to be these guys that they really want to push as stars, and it turned out to be the guy that no one really heralded. I mean, you know, the fact he's not really much of a trash talker, the Brummie accent, you know, it can kind of put people off in a way. I always quite like the Brummie accent personally, but, you know, doubly so now. And as always, MMA math never works out. Usman was supposed to beat Edwards, Khamzat was supposed to beat Diaz, and we were supposed to get Khamzat versus Usman at some point in the next 6 months. That ain't happening anytime soon, so...
Are you saying that the door is open for Nate Diaz to shock the world?
It's always open. I mean, not that open, but, you know, it could happen.
Right, Joe, let's talk about something that isn't grey, all right? Let's talk about something red, a little bit pink, a little bit juicy.
Tanned.
Co-main.
Tanned as well. Beautiful tanned body. This was incredible. Luke Rockhold versus Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa wins a decision victory over Luke Rockhold. We'll get to Costa in a moment. The story here is Rockhold, isn't it? He retires after this fight. Did he? Can
we just clarify that?
He retired.
For me and for the... Is it because I didn't see any gloves in the ring. I haven't seen a follow-up post.
He took the gloves off. He did take the gloves off and placed them down. They didn't show that. And he has also informed the UFC this week about it. And apparently...
Well, Joe, look.
Yeah.
Let me just stop you there, Joe. I want a rematch. I want an instant rematch. No retirement for you, son.
This is real Batman Joker thing. These two are made for each other, aren't they? Like that.
This is absolutely. They are bound. Their stories will intertwine once more, as shown by the moment we saw, which, you know, will stick in the memory for quite a few of the fans out there in the third round,
where Costa had Rockhold's back. Did you notice? Did you hear their trash talk? By the way, excuse my language, but Costa said, "Oh, he had his back and he was controlling Rockhold," and he said, "Oh, 1 minute," and Rockhold went, "What?" He said, "Oh, you've only got 1 minute left," and Rockhold went, "Fuck you," and then was just like, "I'm not having this." Powered through, just like, absolutely, I'm not having this. Got his arm under his armpit and turned into Costa's guard, got on top of him. And, you know, when you're in that position and you're losing a fight, you know, you got to start laying some ground and pound. Rockhold's not bothered with that. He's got a bloody face and he's taking that bloody nose and he rubs it all in Costa's face and it squirts everywhere.
To which, let's just be clear, to which a smile went across Costa's face. Let's just be, you know, I don't think that was for the fans show. He was caught in that moment.
Yeah.
And we were all betwitched by it. We were all captivated.
I'll bring up Costa's quote about that in a second, because it was he did have some words about the
in the post-fight press conference when he had time to rationalise what happened to him. But in the moment, Joe, I think he liked it.
I think so as well.
Now, look, you've just encapsulated kind of a little bit the story of the fight there, in that Costa had a dominant position in the third, and yet Rockhold was able to find his way back on top and have that explosive moment where suddenly he had turned the fight around. Now, for me, I was watching this fight and I saw loads of those moments from Rockhold. Yeah. If he would just stop shooting for takedowns and getting smashed in the head and gassing, I think he could have stood there with Costa.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it all started going downhill immediately for Rockhold.
Yeah.
In that when he shot, he ate all of those, you know, when he shot for a takedown, which he believed he had to do, clearly. He was worried about trading with Costa. He thought he would have the advantage in the wrestling game, so he shoots for the takedown, ends up getting absolutely smashed to bits as Costa fights him off, yeah. And, you know, and they're sprawling, and Costa's just pounding on poor Luke's face.
Yeah.
Did Rockhold's nose get broken in that moment? Do you know?
I think it might have done. It was either that or in the second. Where
I thought it was straight. I thought it was immediately, and then that's when I saw these breathing difficulties from Rockhold after that.
Well, we also need to factor this in. This card was at altitude. I didn't realise this in our preview. I was just like, I didn't realise Salt Lake City was that high up. You know, we're talking Mexico City level, you know. If sea level Rockhold was there, we would have had a different fight potentially. But Yeah, it was in that period. Also, hilarious moment in that first round where Rockhold just blasts Costa with 4 body kicks in a row, and Costa's like, yeah, give it to me. Madness, mad scene.
Joe, those were heavy.
Yes.
Those were heavy
Oh,
kicks.
there was no feinting in this fight. It was like, well, I'm just going to throw this and see what happens, and it was quite something. I mean, can I just ask, by the way, how did you score this fight?
I feel like I'm opening myself up to ridicule. You know that I scored the second round for Luke Rockhold.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you did as well?
I did, yeah.
Oh, right, I'm not alone.
No.
All right, okay.
I loved it.
And I scored the first and the third for Costa.
Yeah, clearly, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is one of the most hilarious fights I've ever seen. And can I also tell you this? Watching Rockhold and knowing that his body's breaking down, that he's probably going to retire, that this is his last fight and he's digging it out, and I teared up. I teared up watching him in this fight. I'm like, this guy was, the best middleweight of his generation. I think Anderson Silva was kind of the previous generation that crossed over into his, but, the 2 best guys were him and Weidman, and he destroyed Weidman. His Strikeforce run was
the infamous wheel kick from Weidman.
Yeah, but before that, he got the better of Weidman in that fight.
Joe, yeah, sure, but I'll just never forget that. One of the worst miscalculations when the wrestler, the all-American wrestler, throws a fucking wheel kick against a man with a kicking game and wrestling game of Rockhold. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, that is mad.
Rockhold proceeds to mount him and then finish him, of course.
Oh no, he didn't finish him in that round.
Oh, did he not?
No, it was like he was murdering him, and then it got to the end of the round, and then in the next round, Weidman had nothing left, and then got finished. I mean, I just think that this is... it was incredible. And then his post-fight promo, where you could see the emotion, and then he dropped that great line where he was like, fuck, I'm so old. Just how he delivered it.
Can I just say for the fans here, Joe has assured me he's going to swear less.
I'm quoting.
This episode of the pod. There's less, not more, less times.
Can I?
We're up to 4 now, Joe.
I need to swear one more time.
He's also carrying what appears to be a beer in his right hand and swearing. Can you sort it out? We're a professional podcast.
Okay, I'm sorry. We'll get to 5 Live one day, but right now when we're on the internet, anything goes. I need to swear one more time, by the way. Rockhold, by the way, he had quite a nice left hook in this fight that he landed a few times on Costa and rocked him.
He was just wanging him. He was absolutely wanging him out there, and Costa was just there to be hit. It was great.
I loved it. And then the one where Rockhold's face is bloodied, he's an absolute mess. He looks at Costa, says F you, and throws that left hand and knocks him down. As Rogan said on commentary, it was like a movie. Like, we saw 2 Rocky movies in this same fight card. You had Rocky 1 when he loses, and you had Rocky 2 when he wins. Okay? And let me tell you, I don't know which one I prefer. No, I do know which one I prefer. It was Edwards. It was incredible. It was really incredible.
I mean, I couldn't have hoped for more from Rockhold Costa, but I just wonder if Costa, if Rockhold had a little bit more faith that he could hang with Costa. I don't know, why that was drilled into him in the camp, but obviously we know the game plan. We saw how it unfolded. Clearly, it didn't work.
No,
it just what I saw of them, Joe, is when they were just trading on the feet, Rockhold was absolutely working him. He was landing huge shots.
He was landing big shots,
round.
but Costa was there to be hit always. But
he always will be.
Yeah, of course.
Like, Adesanya showed us that.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, for a kickboxer, for a man who can, with those kicks, we saw all of them, by the way, in the second round, a real exhibition stuff.
He threw a crescent kick, didn't he?
He threw a crescent kick, and it landed, Joe, and it hurt. It hurt Costa. Now, look, I just think that, really, I really think that Rockhold can beat Costa. Look, the fact is he was gassed. He was having breathing issues, probably because of the broken nose because of the failed takedown attempt. And yet, he was still doing enough for both of us to score the second round for Luke Rockhold. So
let's talk about Paulo Costa. Oh, actually, hold on. I just want to say one more thing about Rockhold. He had that sleeve on his left leg. And they mentioned it was because he had a staph infection in the past. Ariel Helwani, after this fight card, was bigging up Rockhold and talking about all the things he's gone through, saying that he almost had that leg amputated. Like, he almost had that leg amputated in the last 4 or 5 years or so because of that staph infection. Can't believe what he's come back from. And if he wants to sail off into the sunset, what a way to go. This is almost like the way that you should want to retire in the losing effort. Do you know what I mean? Of like absolutely dogged determination.
There's nothing but respect for what Rockhold did in there.
Right.
You know, he went through the fire. He really did.
Let's talk about the fire.
And he didn't need to.
No.
He didn't need to.
Let's talk about the fire, though. Let's talk about Paulo Costa. We didn't really learn anything from Costa other than, like, he can fight against southpaws and he still can't fight against orthodox fighters at all. He's got one more fight left on his UFC contract. I think they'd be ridiculous to let him go. This guy is hilarious and should be treasured as such. And I want to see him fight. Who do you want to see him fight, really?
Well, let's look at the middleweight division as things stand. Now, obviously, Rockhold being unranked, it didn't do a whole lot for Costa's ranking.
No.
However, Marvin Vettori has gone up in the rankings to number 2 now.
Okay.
Following the weekend's action. We know that, of course, the middleweight matchup is made. The Whittaker's tied up. Cannonier, who's he fighting?
Strickland. In October.
So we're already down. Well, I don't want to see Derek Brunson fight
Darren
Costa.
Till?
Oof.
Loser leaves town?
No, I don't want Costa leaving any town.
No! What, you think Till would beat Costa?
I just, like we said like I've already said about Rockhold, I think Rockhold could beat Costa. I think Luke Rockhold can beat Costa. I just think it was a poor game plan. Look, Joe, he broke his nose, and that's why he was so gassed.
He was gassed. He was at elevation as well.
I think he was just struggling to breathe through. I think
well,
that was
struggling to breathe at elevation. It's a terrible combination, isn't it?
As a point of clarity here, all right. You piqued my interest when you said that Salt Lake City has the same altitude as Mexico.
I don't think that's true. I think they are both at altitude. I didn't say they were the same.
Well, I mean, I'm at altitude right now. The altitude is about 10 meters above sea level.
Okay.
It's not the same.
What's this?
Mexico City is twice as high as Salt Lake City.
What's the difference? It both sucks. Okay, can we just talk about Luke Rockhold just quickly?
I think we talked a lot about Luke Rockhold, but we can talk some more about it.
Bro, listen to this. These are the people he's beat. He beat Jacare for the Strikeforce middleweight title. Defeated Keith Jardine. Defeated Tim Kennedy. Then in the UFC, defeat Tim Boach, Michael Bisping in Australia. That was an incredible performance. Lyoto Machida and Chris Weidman then for the title. I mean, those are some pretty impressive names to have on your resume, isn't it? Like, I think that he should go out as a more well-remembered than how he probably will be. Just because he had the Romero loss. I mean, losing to Romero by knockout, Jan Blachowicz by knockout. No shame in that in my mind.
Joe, Luke Rockhold versus Kevin Holland. Set it up.
What?
Luke Rockhold versus Kevin Holland. I want to see it. There's more.
No.
There's more fights for Luke Rockhold.
There he is.
Get him in there.
No, what is wrong with you? Leave the poor man
that was
alone.
an amazing performance. Amazing performance.
I don't think it was an amazing performance. I think the combination of the two made an amazing moment.
Joe, when I say performance, I mean show.
Okay, all right. Freak show is the word you're looking for. All right, let's talk about Merab Dvalishvili defeats Jose Aldo by unanimous decision. Dana dumped on this afterwards, saying this did nothing for Merab, even though he's gone up to number 3 in the rankings at bantamweight. Undeserved in my mind. Undeserved. He should not be at number 3. He should.
You agree with Dana?
He shouldn't be ahead of Marlon Vera.
Fighters shouldn't be paid properly.
Well, that's another debate. He shouldn't be paid for this performance, I'll tell you that much. Pressing Aldo up against the cage. By the way, I gave Aldo the first round. I don't know, is that crazy for me? Yeah.
No, I gave Aldo the first round. 100%. Much heavier shots.
Yeah. And then second and third I had to give to Merab. Just pressed him up against the cage. Didn't really do much. Wasn't able to get much off. Aldo was more interesting.
Agreed.
Aldo was also more interesting. Well, beautiful intercepting knees to the body. Love that.
Yeah, they were.
That was lush, wasn't it? Oh, that was good. That was some good stuff.
Merab ate them for breakfast, but
yeah,
they were. I'm sure they hurt a lot.
Yeah, and it was one of those weird Aldo performances, like the Lamas one, the TKZ one, where it's just kind of like he seemed to be a lot more comfortable than what it actually was. Maybe like it was just kind of a bit of a weird performance.
Yeah, well, like it was. Look, Joe. I mean, it's a weird fight. It's a weird fight.
It was a weird fight.
It's a blooper. Like, I mean, Aldo had absolutely flawless takedown defense and didn't take any damage.
Yeah. What are you supposed to say?
I mean, what do you want me to say? I think he got more damage off over the course of the fight than Merab did. I certainly appreciated his style more. I appreciated his output.
For sure.
But Merab neutralized him with pressure. I'm not saying that they should have been separated more often.
I think so.
Well,
I think so.
Yeah, so like I'm not going to dump on Aldo because he did his job.
I think also it should be the case that you get less and less time in that sort of up against the fence, pressing someone against the fence positions, because it's like you're obviously not getting anywhere. Well, I'm going to give you 2 minutes each time.
Hold on. Kamaru Usman's built an all-time great run.
Yeah, but Kamaru
people against the cage, and smashing them up.
Yeah, but Dvalishvili didn't do that.
No,
and he had the same. I mean, he had less rounds than Usman. He has a similar game plan, and he wasn't able to get nearly as much damage off.
I want to pull up a statistic for you here, which is really, really striking, and I want you to factor this in when we're talking about this fight.
Go on.
But I have to find the statistic first.
Okay.
Sorry for my lack of
great
lack of professionalism. No, well, it's the significant strikes, Joe. I want to see the significant strikes for that fight because I think Aldo outlanded him.
No, Merab.
No, I'm talking about significant strikes. I'm not talking about like taps.
No, Merab outstruck him significant strikes. 57-38.
57-38. Okay.
Yeah.
But also in the first round, I'd imagine that Merab outlanded if that's the case.
I'll go per round here. It was 15 to Aldo, 16 to Merab, 11 each in round 2, and then 12 to Aldo, 30 in round 3. 30 to Merab in round 3.
30 significant strikes? Who's counting those?
I know.
He landed 0 significant strikes in that last one. Joe, like, it was a weird fight. Merab won it by the rules of the sport and how we have it set up. But did Aldo lose?
No. I mean, yes, but no. It's one of the, as you said, by the rules of the sport, he won, but not really. He didn't win any. He didn't win any fans from that.
What do we do, Joe? What do we do? We've got Merab gone up. He's taken Aldo's position.
Take his ranking away. Like that's what I think. And also then like going on Ariel's show and saying, "Oh, Aldo told me that he's retiring." It's just like you don't get to say that.
No, you don't get to say that.
That's bang out of order. And you're not saying that in the moment either. You've had a couple days to think about it. That's not cool.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
No, so you should be punished.
Is he losing boy status, Joe?
Boy status is well revoked. By the end of round 2, it was gone. So I'm not having that.
I mean, yeah. Okay, so can we still give Aldo a shot at the belt?
No. He has to then win 2 more fights.
Does he? Look, Joe. Right, they've moved Aldo now. He's down to 6.
So if he fights, so let's say he fights the winner of Sandhagen versus Song Yadong.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, look, I want to say, down at 6, ahead of him is Marlon Vera. Well, he beat him. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Below him is Rob Font. He beat him. Yeah. So Aldo is still right there. I'm not moving Aldo down the rankings off the back of that performance. He didn't need to take the fight. I don't know. I'm not trying to be too partisan here, but I feel like one more matchup and then he's ready.
Yeah, maybe.
Come on, Joe. Look, Corey Sandhagen goes and puts a
beating on Song.
A beating on Song, which I think we're both.
Yeah, I'm expecting that.
Aldo then beats Sandhagen. That's enough for a shot on the belt.
That's if he beats Sandhagen. That's the other thing.
No, well, that's a hell of a mountain to climb.
What a fight that would be. Anyway, we're getting way too ahead of ourselves. Let's quickly go through the rest of this main card here. Lucy Pudilova defeats Yanan Wu, by KO TKO elbows from back mount, which meant hits shots to the back of the head mostly to finish that off.
It's the range, Joe. It's the range that does it.
Yeah, indeed. And then Tyson Pedro defeats Harry Hunsucker. Body kick to ground strikes, TKO victory there. You picked Tyson Pedro to win by knockout. I chose Hunsucker, who now falls to a record of 7-6. Jabroni status confirmed. Tom retains his predictions title. Congratulations, Tom. If only I'd picked Leon Edwards to win. Anyway, shall we talk about the news, Tom?
I think so, because we've said all there is to be said about this.
Sorry. No, there's one more thing I need to bring up. Paulo Costa's quotes about the blood moment with Rockhold. Here we go. I didn't see in the moment of the fight. I just felt something on my face. I was so worried on blocking his arms so I don't get elbowed on the face or punched, but I felt something. Now, when I saw the replay, it's very disgusting. It's a weird moment. I saw the moment when Romero kissed him after beating him as well. I was like, this is the weirdest moment I have ever seen. But this beats that moment. I don't know why Rockhold did that. Maybe he did that because he was so frustrated. Maybe angry because he was losing the fight. But I took a very long shower after the fight.
Now, Joe, with your calm, rational English accent there, you don't capture the true magnificence with which Paulo said this.
Yeah.
Because, like, it all sounds quite reasonable and rational when you say it like you're saying it. But Paulo, he's just got such a strange aura to him.
I love him. He's great. Anyway, news. There's been a fight added to UFC 279. Tom, have you seen this fight? It's been added.
I haven't.
Okay. At welterweight, the Leech is back, Tom. And he is facing Tony Ferguson at welterweight. Is this Tony trying to cash some checks before on the way out? Like,
my eyebrows are raised, Joe.
This is depressing, isn't it? Like, he's fighting a guy a weight division up who doesn't really have much of a name with the fans, who is sneaky good, and you've just been brained by Michael Chandler, a weight division down from this. I worry for Tony Ferguson with this fight.
Joe, the problem is, like, I can reel off 15 names across welterweight, 15 names across lightweight, and you will be worrying for Tony Ferguson. That is unfortunately where we're at.
Yeah, we are in dangerous territory now, and I think we need to start questioning what will happen to him post career. I think, Tom. Yeah, a bit of a worry here. Right, one more fight piece of news here, Tom. December 10th, 3-round fight. Rafael Fiziev versus Justin Gaethje in the works. That stirs your loins, doesn't it?
I'm certainly tickled. It makes sense. It should happen.
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go, indeed.
It's right direction.
Right. Tom, anything else we want to talk about?
Well, following up on our opening segment of the preview podcast, Mike Perry, he beat Michael Page.
Yes, he did. Did you watch it?
Knuckle boxing. I did. Of course, I did not watch that. You didn't watch that.
I did. Yeah. It was dreadful. It was really dreadful. It went to a sudden death round. It was very odd. Very, very odd. I don't know. But it wasn't very pleasurable, I must say. Right. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us. You can contact us at holdonbrother69@gmail.com. We'll be back next week to preview UFC Paris, headlined by Cyril Gane versus Taito Iwasa, and co-main event of Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. Can't wait. Tom, thank you so much for joining me.
It's been a pleasure, Joe.
And listeners, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Leon, what did it feel like the moment you landed that kick and the moment you saw him drop and you knew you did it? What was that like?
I can't explain it, Joe. God is on my side. I said it all week. I felt like this is my moment. Everything happened in the past. The 2 years out, the pandemic, all of it. They all say I couldn't come back and do it. There is no ring rust. I told you that already. Now look at me now. Champion of the world, soldier. The champion of the world. Champion of the world. Look at me now. I was born in Jamaica with nothing. I live in a wooden shed, zinc roof. Look at me now. Look at me now. Strap season. We got it, baby.
You did it, Leon. You accomplished one of the most difficult things in all combat sports against the best guy in the world. Congratulations, sir. You are the welterweight champion of the world.
Thank you, Joe. I can't explain this moment. Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Thank you to the UFC for giving the kid that was born with nothing opportunity to be something. Thank you.
It was an honor to call your fight. Congratulations. The champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen, Leon